What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of I Love Basketball. As always, I am your host, Zach Cronin, and today we are going to be talking about the two game ones that have been played in both of the conference finals. At the time of this recording, both Dallas and Boston are up 1-0. There are a bunch of things for us to key on and look forward to throughout the rest of the series, and also adjustments for us to focus on and see how all four of these teams and how four of these coaches are going to navigate these respective series. I'm going to start with Dallas and Minnesota only because it is fresher in my mind and I want to get these thoughts out before I start to forget them. First things first, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. 63 combined points between them. They shot 24 of 49. It was a tale of two halves as far as both of these guys go. Kyrie completely took over the first half, looked to establish himself early and allow Luka to play off of him throughout the second half. Additionally, it also allows Luka to conserve a little bit of energy when he doesn't have to look to score, when he doesn't have to look to facilitate all the time. But Kyrie was looking like a madman. He was playing like vintage Kyrie. Watching him hit these right and left-handed floaters, these up and under shots. It was probably a lot similar to how the Roman soldiers felt watching Jesus come out of the tomb on Easter. It really was a spiritual performance, just an engrossing piece of basketball theater on display by Kyrie Irving. And I'm going to just put it out on the table. If Dallas is going to get this kind of Kyrie, if they're going to get 2015, 2016, 2017 Kyrie, they are a championship contender in conjunction with Luka Doncic. And also, when you add in the defense that they've been playing, Luka came alive in the second half, mostly in the fourth quarter, where he scored 15 points, half of his total, or a little bit less than half of his total. Also looked great on defense in the fourth quarter as well. There was one possession where he really beat up Anthony Edwards quite spectacularly. He broke up a lob pass late in the game as well. That is the kind of effort you want from your star player. I'm not surprised that we're seeing this from Luka. This guy's been in the league for like 5 or 6 years now. He knows what it takes to win. He's been to a conference finals before. He knows how much it hurts to lose, and I don't think he wants to put himself or his team through that again. And additionally, I believe that he's also confident in his teammates because this is the best team that he's had in the league so far. One of the reasons why Luka and Kyrie were so effective was because Minnesota played almost exclusively drop coverage all throughout this game. Drop coverage, for anyone who doesn't know, is exactly what it sounds like. It is when the defender of the screener sags off and pretty much allows the ball handler to attack downhill. They are attempting to funnel them into the teeth of the defense, into the bigger, longer shot blockers. But when you have players who are as quality of scorers and playmakers as Luka and Kyrie, drop coverage doesn't work that effectively because you're allowing them to dictate the flow of that possession. You are allowing them to pretty much do whatever they want, and then the defense has to react to it. For example, if Rudy Gobert is in drop and Luka gets into like the free throw line area, the elbow area, he can pull up for the jump shot. He can make the little pocket pass to the short roller. He can kick it back out to the opposite corner depending on where the help is coming from. And again, this is one of the best playmakers in the NBA right now. I don't think that this is the type of coverage that Minnesota should exclusively play. Additionally, it was a little weird considering how versatile they are on defense. You can play drop coverage every now and then just to try to throw the offensive player off their rhythm. But I think, and Stan Van Gundy pointed this out throughout the broadcast, I think that you have to attack Luka and Kyrie at the point of attack. You have to blitz. You have to show. You have to create pressure. You have to force them to react to you. Basketball is a game of manipulation. The offensive player is attempting to dictate what the defense does, and the defense is attempting to dictate what the offensive player does. Whichever team is more effective at doing that will win the game, will most likely win the game because they control all of the momentum, and it's harder for the defense to react to the offense. Minnesota in this case is a little bit different because they have an exceptional amount of length at every position, but I still don't think that you should be sagging off and allowing Luka and Kyrie to basically take not uncontested, but lightly contested floaters, mid-range jump shots. These guys are experienced enough that they're going to take those shots when they present them. This isn't Luka. This isn't 22-year-old Luka who isn't going to take a mid-range jumper. He is now at that age where he is going to take what the defense gives him, and then when they adjust, he is going to adjust accordingly. By no means do I want to say that Minnesota's defense was ass throughout this game, because it was pretty effective, at least when it came to their perimeter defense. Dallas shot 6 of 25 from 3. PJ Washington was Brick City. Luka Doncic was Brick City. Kyrie didn't hit a single 3. Derrick Jones Jr. didn't hit a single 3. Dallas is not going to have another performance like that, I don't think. It's just mathematical. They're probably going to shoot like 60% from 3 in game 2, and then over the course of the series, it'll reset to around 37, 38, whatever their percentages have been throughout the playoffs. But still, I think really the only thing that Minnesota's coaching staff has to focus on is mixing in blitz coverage, hedging the screens, stuff like that, which I do think you'll have a little bit more success doing when you run a smaller lineup, if that does come up at any point, because as we know, Dallas likes to pretty much play Gafford and Lively exclusively down the middle for the entire 48 minutes. But who knows? Maybe Jason Kidd will throw a wacky rotation out there. Speaking of Derek Lively, this guy has been spectacular. Derek Lively has gained a new fan in me. I love how he plays. I love the maturity that he has developed in over the course of just one season. He brings energy, he brings size, he attacks the glass. He is a very solid rim protector. He is consistently among the most impactful Mavericks when it comes to plus minus. In this game in particular, he had a plus 19. The only other Mavericks who played considerable minutes and had a positive plus minus were Kyrie Irving and PJ Washington. Of course, plus minus isn't the entire thing. It is a flawed metric. However, you cannot overlook a guy who was plus 19 in 26 minutes. That is real, tangible impact. And also, when you watch him, you see the impact that he brings. He is a pain in the ass to deal with as a defender. And they have 2 of these 7-footers that they can alternate at will. Another thing I'm looking forward to observing going forward is the Anthony Edwards and Kyrie Irving matchup. Ant was super excited to go up against Kyrie in this series, and he did not stray away from that challenge in game 1. He was the primary defender on Kyrie Irving by nearly 5 minutes. He spent 7 minutes and 13 seconds as the primary defender on Kyrie. Now, Kyrie shot 4 of 7, but he was cooking everyone. He shot 3 of 4 against Jaden McDaniels. Statistically, the only guy who really limited him was Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Kyrie shot just 1 of 4, guarded by him. And I love this mentality from Anthony Edwards. If I'm a coach, if I'm Mike Inori, if I'm Chris Finch, I'm in admiration of him to want to step up and take this challenge. But he's a very young player. He doesn't know any better. The coaching staff has to tell him that he cannot guard Kyrie this much, especially if this game is going to go 6-7 games, because the toll it took on him was noticeable. This guy was noticeably fatigued late in the fourth quarter. He did not play that well either, and you have to question if some of that is the result of expending all of this energy on Kyrie. He shot 6 of 16 from the floor. However, 12 of his field goal attempts were threes. Granted, he shot 5 of 12, which is a shade under 42%, but he was 1 of 4 on twos. That is not the Anthony Edwards that we've grown to love. The Anthony Edwards that we know is getting downhill, putting pressure on the defense, dunking on people, playing physically, getting to the free throw line. And I don't know if that style is going to be as effective if he spends this much time on Kyrie Irving. So there is a balance. There are going to be times when Anthony Edwards has to D up on Kyrie. Maybe at the end of quarters, if Kyrie rattles off a couple buckets, put Ant on him just to give him a different look. But something has to change. I'm not going to put my young star, I'm not going to allow him to expend all of his energy on defense when he has to be the driving force on this team offensively. Admittedly, Minnesota got saved by Jaden McDaniels, who had, what did he have, 23? He had 24 in this game. Cat only had 16. Ant only had 19. Cat and Edwards combined to shoot 12 of 36. That type of production from that duo will not be able to compete with Luka and Kyrie. So going forward, the TLDR, see if Minnesota mixes up their pick and roll coverage. See if they stop playing exclusively drop. See if they blitz. See if they hedge. See what kind of interesting wrinkles they work out with this lineup. And then on the flip side, how are they going to approach Kyrie Irving? How are they going to approach Anthony Edwards on Kyrie Irving? I think that that matchup will be more detrimental the longer it goes on than any other wrinkle the Minnesota defense has. There is a reason why your star player does not consistently guard the other star player in playoff series because it is taxing. You have to pick and choose your spots, and that is going to be a huge piece of learning for Anthony Edwards. Now we're going to transition to the other game one. I have significantly less to say about Pacers Boston than I do about Mavs Wolves because I think that Pacers Boston, the result, I already know the result. Boston is going to win. They're just the better team. They are clearly better than Indiana, despite what we saw in game one. Okay, maybe clearly better was a little disrespectful, but they're certainly the better team in this series. With Dallas and Minnesota, I can't say who the better team is. For Indiana to regain any momentum in this series, because that was a heartbreaking loss. That was just textbook selling. And Boston didn't play particularly great either. They just hit their shots down the stretch. And we will talk about Jrue Holiday and how instrumental he's going to be in this series. But if I'm Indiana, I'm putting Al Horford in the pick and roll pretty much as frequently as I can. He did not guard that. He did not guard that well at all. I think Pascal Siakam was 5 of 8 when guarded by Al Horford. Tyrese Halliburton was like 3 of 5 when guarded by Horford. The Celtics defense, without Kristaps Porzingis, is liable to give up a considerable amount of points. I mean, they allowed 128 in this game. There were there were 5 30-point quarters in this game, 3 for Boston, 2 for Indiana. They scored 29 in the third. Make Al Horford defend in space. Additionally, don't be so careless with the basketball. That is such a vague talking point, but it is so true. And I forgot to mention this with the Wolves-Mavs game one. Minnesota had 5 of their 10 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Indiana, for this game, had 21 turnovers. You are giving a veteran team easy points. The Celtics have been to 6 straight conference finals, 5 straight conference finals. These guys know how to win, okay? They know how to show, they know what it takes to win big games. Winning the margins, winning the 50-50 balls is crucial, and then capitalizing on your opponent's mental lapses is equally as crucial. Those are the 2 huge things for Indiana. For Boston, there really isn't anything I would do differently for them. I would say make more threes, but that's not a real thing. That's not a real thing that you can do. I mean, yeah, you can make more threes, but it's not as easy to implement. Boston shot 15 of 45. They will certainly bounce back from this. Al Horford was 3 of 12 from 3. Oh my God, I did not realize that. That's a fucking insane metric. Oh my God. But Boston, their offense, it will come around. It will find its way. Additionally, they benefited greatly when the game slowed down because of the officiating. It wasn't just the officiating, their aggressiveness put the onus on the officials to make these calls, and you could see it in the free throw disparity, which is quite sizable. 30 to 10 is enough. 30 to 10 you cannot overlook, but the more aggressive team is going to get rewarded with calls. I do think that the game was officiated a little unfairly. However, Boston could have very easily not made their free throws. We saw this happen with Dallas what was it, game 5 against Oklahoma City, where they shot 49% as a team. In those kinds of situations where the game slows down and it's a grind fest, I think Boston wins those games 9 times out of 10. They're just better at running their half court offense, or at least they seem to be more comfortable running a half court offense. Indiana has come very far as well. I don't want to downplay that, but it just seems like Boston has more guys. Well, it doesn't seem it is that way. Boston has more guys who can create buckets. And when you do have that, you really don't even need this like Spurs level half court offense. You can just like run double drags and drive and kick and move the ball, make this defense scramble, and these guys will capitalize on it. Lastly, Drew Holiday. I was flabbergasted when Boston was able to make this trade for Drew Holiday. I, of course, did a video on it and how he was going to be instrumental in them winning a championship, because you need guys who can defend the guards in the Eastern Conference. Drew Holiday would have been able to defend Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero. You go through all of their series, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, even though Donovan Mitchell was healthy now, Tyrese Halliburton, like all of these guys that I just named, these five guys that I just rattled off, they are elite offensive talents in various ways, and you need an equally as elite defensive talent to make sure that these guys don't get loose. Now, to his credit, Tyrese Halliburton did in fact get loose. Let's not forget. He had 25 and 10. However, down the stretch in overtime, I think it was Drew Holiday who forced a turnover. Actually, let me stop fucking around. Let me look this up. At 1 minute 2 seconds, turnover by Tyrese Halliburton. I'm fairly certain that was the one forced by Drew Holiday. Tyrese Halliburton, as spectacular as he is, does not have the quickness to beat Drew Holiday in the half court in isolation. Regardless, I can say all of these things. I don't really know if there's anything that Indiana can do to beat Boston. I just think that they don't have enough talent. The Celtics were the best team in the Eastern Conference. They have managed to lose only 2 games thus far against inferior competition. There just really isn't anybody who can go toe-to-toe with them. The only teams that were capable of beating them were in the West. Minnesota, Denver, Dallas. Those are the only hopes for us Celtics haters to prevent the Celtics winning a championship. I do think the Pacers can definitely win at least 1 game, definitely 2 if they maximize themselves at home court, which we've seen. We all know role players play better at home, but I don't feel confident in the Pacers being able to pull off an upset. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. Thank you guys so very much for coming to hang out with me today. As always, everything I'm associated with is down in the description box below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Drop a comment as well. It really helps out with the algorithm. If you do any of those 3 things, you will become my new favorite person. And with that, I will catch y'all in the next one.